Crop Talk TV podcast. Peace.
Peter King, he was on Matt Mayoko's podcast with Laura Britt, and Laura asked him, saying, hey, like, you know, just from an optimistic standpoint, like, what's one thing that stood out to you from being at 49ers training camp practice? And he was like, I don't think that there are 5, 6, or 7 teams in the NFL with better outside receivers than Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel. All right. And I talk because there are good groups. There are guys that have been extremely productive around the NFL. You could probably name, 10, 12, 13 different groups that maybe have had more productive seasons. But if I had to kind of put my thinking cap on and dive into what exactly he's saying, I think it's more so of a guy that is there and he's just watching what this group can be, right? It's like, man, like I'm watching, I'm seeing Aiyuk going crazy. He's catching passes here. His route's crazy. Okay, Deebo Samuel, he's fast. He's stretching the field. And it's like, damn, this is a top 7 group if healthy in the NFL. And if probably they have Trey Lance throwing the ball. But like these guys are legit. What do you think about his comments on just kind of where the receivers are and your thoughts on those guys? Because, I mean, just last week or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how people were saying Deebo Samuel was a glorified running back.
Right. I would have to pump the brakes with Peter King like that. Like that's some high praise. And I know Peter King, he's, well respected, in the journalism business in the NFL. He's been doing it for a very long time. So I think maybe he's speaking from an athlete, from pure athletes, pound for pound. Yeah, there's not too many receivers that are better than Deebo Samuel and Brandon Aiyuk as far as athletes, which is why they went where they went, and which is why they're compared to some of the guys they've been compared to. Obviously, Aiyuk being compared to someone like Julio Jones, that's been his pro comp from a lot of people, including his peers. And then Deebo, we discussed, he's basically like, poor man's Quana Anquan. So, those are great pro comps. And I think from that standpoint, I could see his point, but neither one of them, I think, are as polished enough to be rated that high. I think I saw the top 5 wide receiver duos. I don't know if it was ESPN or Fox Sports. I don't know who it was, but I think top 5 wide receiver duos. I think it was Bucks, not in any order. Bucks were 1, Chiefs, Titans, Cowboys with Coop and CD, and then I can't remember who.
There's the Rams with Cup and
I think they were. No, I don't think the Rams weren't even on there. It was the Cowboys, Chiefs, Bucks, Titans. Titans snuck in there, and I can't remember who the 5th one was. I really can't. And that wasn't even Seattle with DK and Tyler. Right. So
would you have them ahead? I mean, you'd have to say yeah right now, right?
Absolutely. Just with the numbers and the numbers they've put up, I would have to. But I would say the Niners, they could come in at the top 10. Honestly, I think Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo have the potential to definitely be a top 10 duo in the league. I think just where Peter King had him was a little high. I'm biased, and I think that's high. But again, I think from being, we're going to see what kind of leap Aiyuk takes in year 2. We saw obviously Deebo had injury issues, so his year 2 is more of like a sophomore slump. Now, I don't think there's anything that is with him, his tangible skill set, so to speak. It was just more so his availability. So we'll see basically, this is going to be his year 2 to me, because last year was a wash. Like, if you really think about it, Croc, he really wasn't on the field much.
Right.
So this is going to be Deebo's year 2, along with Aiyuk's year 2. And now they're going to be able to complement each other and basically play together for the first time, hopefully. And so I think we'll really get to see where they really can be. If Peter King is talking potential, yes, they could definitely be potential in the upper echelon, top 5 wide receiver duos in the league. Because not much separates them from AJ Brown and Julio. Not much separates them from CeeDee Lamb and Cooper. Because these CeeDee Lamb and Coop, like, these guys aren't levels above them. As a matter of fact, I would take the Niners skill position receivers over the Chiefs. Because if you really think about it, Tyreek Hill is really the one wide receiver 1 they have. They don't really have a wide receiver 2, a wide receiver 3. That's
they got
Kelsey
Mecole
is really
Hardman.
right. They got Mecole Hardman, but I'm taking Mecole Hardman, Richie James. You know what I mean? So put Richie James with the Chiefs and have Mahomes just
I
throwing
always say that
rockets.
too.
You know
That,
what I mean?
but
So
that's a
same
good
thing
thing
with
you
you can
touch
flip
on.
flop Kelsey. You can flip flop Kelsey and Kittle.
Right.
Same thing.
I think that's a good note that you touch on there, because I tell my homies, and we're talking about it, and it's like you can name people like Godwin and stuff like that, but like I don't think Godwin is just better than Brandon Aiyuk. Like, yeah, more productive, but it's like, well, look who he's played with. Godwin has
He's
gotten
a
a chance to play
dog
with,
though.
but he been able to play with Jameis Winston, who for all Jameis Winston is kind of
He's
bad or
letting
whatever.
he's letting that bitch go. Yeah,
He's
regardless,
he's
he's
airing
letting
that
that
whole out.
shit go. Yeah,
He
he's
airing that
letting
whole
that
out.
shit
So
go.
so
Yeah.
you know you're gonna put up numbers with him. He's gonna give you every opportunity to excel. And then you go from him to Fitzpatrick, who same thing. He gonna let that whole go. And then you got Tom Brady, who's the GOAT. So it's like you are in the most ideal situation where you got
But AB and Mike Evans a trump card. I mean,
right.
they're they're alphas. They're legit wide receiver one still. And AB got fresh legs. He's definitely still wide receiver one. So they definitely have the best tandem by far.
Right, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm curious to see where they go this year. I just want it's like, bro, just can we get a healthy season out of these dudes so we
Absolutely.
can really see their full potential? Deebo,
Yeah.
Aiyuk, like, come on, like just
Right.
get it together so we can see what y'all really are. Because I think they can be definitely a really good group, especially with George Kittle. You start to add the run game, you start to add Trey Lance whenever he gets on the field, and now you're talking about a special offense. And I think that's what the 49ers are missing. Great, really good offense. Like they executed at a high level. Kyle Shanahan did a lot of things to help, but I think you can get all these dudes, 17 games together, as my guy Brandon said. Like, I mean, and it's a lot of games, but if you can get these guys, I won't even say 17, but they can play 14 games together.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about a special. We're talking about a special offense.
Crop Talk TV podcast. Peace.